For more than 1,500 years, one network of roads connected civilizations that had never met before. It carried shimmering silk from China, rare spices from India, precious gems from Central Asia, glass from Rome, and ideas that would change the course of history forever. Along these routes traveled merchants, kings, monks, explorers, diplomats, and conquerors. But they also carried something far more dangerous: disease, conflict, and the rise and fall of entire empires. This was the Silk Road. Despite its legendary reputation, the Silk Road wasn't a single road stretching from east to west. It was an enormous network of trade routes spanning nearly 4,000 miles, weaving through deserts, mountains, fertile valleys, and bustling cities. It linked China with Central Asia, Persia, the Middle East, North Africa, and eventually Europe, becoming the closest thing the ancient world had to a global highway. Surprisingly, the people who traveled these routes never called them the Silk Road. That name was created in the 19th century by German geographer Ferdinand von Richthofen. To the merchants risking their lives across Asia, these were simply the roads of trade, opportunity, and survival. But how did this incredible network begin? The story starts more than 2,000 years ago during China's Han Dynasty. At the time, China faced a constant threat from powerful nomadic tribes known as the Xiongnu. These skilled horsemen raided border towns, disrupted trade, and challenged the emperor's authority. Determined to secure his empire, Emperor Wu of Han made a bold decision. Instead of relying only on war, he sent an imperial envoy named Zhang Qian on a dangerous diplomatic mission deep into Central Asia. His objective was simple: find powerful allies who could help defeat the Xiongnu. The journey quickly became a nightmare. Only a short distance beyond China's borders, Zhang Qian was captured by the Xiongnu. For more than 10 years, he lived as their prisoner. Most people would have abandoned the mission. Zhang Qian never did. He eventually escaped and continued west, crossing vast deserts, towering mountain ranges, and unfamiliar kingdoms that few Chinese had ever seen. Although he failed to secure the military alliance the emperor wanted, his expedition uncovered something even more valuable. He returned with detailed knowledge of prosperous cities, wealthy kingdoms, advanced cultures, and profitable trade opportunities stretching across Central Asia. For Emperor Wu, this discovery changed everything. Instead of looking only for allies, China suddenly saw the possibility of connecting with an entire world beyond its borders. Merchants quickly recognized the enormous profits waiting beyond the western frontier. Caravans began carrying Chinese silk into lands where it was considered more valuable than gold. Soon, the flow of trade expanded in both directions. Silk moved west. Horses, jade, spices, precious metals, and exotic animals traveled east. Every successful journey encouraged more merchants to take the risk. Within only a few generations, isolated trading paths evolved into the greatest commercial network the ancient world had ever seen. But the true power of the Silk Road wasn't measured by the goods it carried. Its greatest cargo would become ideas, religions, technologies, and cultures that would transform civilizations forever. As the Silk Road expanded, it became far more than a collection of dusty caravan trails. It evolved into the world's largest commercial network, connecting people separated by thousands of miles, different languages, and completely different civilizations. The route earned its famous name because of one extraordinary product: Chinese silk. For centuries, China guarded the secret of silk production with absolute secrecy. According to legend, anyone caught smuggling silkworm eggs or revealing the manufacturing process could face execution. This made silk one of the most valuable luxury goods on earth. Roman nobles were so fascinated by its smooth texture and brilliant shine that some were willing to pay its weight in gold. But silk was only the beginning. Caravans crossing Asia transported porcelain, paper, tea, lacquerware, spices, incense, precious gemstones, ivory, fine carpets, perfumes, silver, gold, glassware, and beautifully crafted weapons. Every city along the route became a marketplace where merchants from dozens of cultures negotiated deals that could make them incredibly wealthy or leave them with nothing. Yet every fortune came with enormous risk. Traveling the Silk Road meant entering some of the harshest environments on Earth. To the north rose the snow-covered Tian Shan Mountains. To the south stretched the towering Himalayas. Between them lay one of history's most feared landscapes, the Taklamakan Desert. Its name is often translated as, "You can enter, but you may never come out." Blistering heat during the day, freezing temperatures at night, violent sandstorms, and endless dunes claimed countless lives. Travelers who lost sight of their caravan often disappeared forever beneath shifting sands. And nature wasn't the only enemy. Bandits constantly watched the trade routes, waiting for isolated caravans carrying fortunes in silk and precious goods. A single successful robbery could make criminals rich beyond imagination. To improve their chances of survival, merchants rarely traveled alone. Huge camel caravans, sometimes numbering hundreds of animals, crossed the deserts together. Armed guards protected valuable cargo, while experienced guides navigated dangerous terrain using stars, mountains, and ancient landmarks passed down through generations. Along the route, fortified roadside inns known as caravans became lifelines for exhausted travelers. Here, merchants could rest, feed their animals, repair damaged equipment, exchange news, and meet traders from distant kingdoms they had only heard about in stories. But perhaps the Silk Road's greatest contribution wasn't the wealth it created, it was the ideas it carried. Buddhism spread from India into China, Korea, and Japan through monks traveling these same roads. Islam later expanded across Central Asia, while Christianity reached distant Eastern communities few people realize ever existed. Papermaking, first developed in China, slowly traveled westward, eventually transforming education, literature, science, and government throughout the Islamic world and Europe. New inventions, artistic styles, scientific discoveries, agricultural techniques, and even musical instruments crossed continents alongside ordinary merchants. For the first time in history, civilizations that had developed independently for centuries began influencing one another on an unprecedented scale. The Silk Road wasn't simply exchanging products, it was quietly reshaping the future of humanity itself. But this incredible network also carried something no merchant intended to sell: a silent passenger that would soon bring one of history's deadliest catastrophes to millions of people.
For centuries, the Silk Road brought prosperity to kingdoms across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. It connected distant civilizations, created enormous wealth, and encouraged the exchange of ideas, unlike anything the world had ever seen. But the same routes that carried opportunity also carried unimaginable disaster. In the mid-14th century, a deadly disease began spreading westward through the trade networks of Asia. Today, we know it as the Black Death. Historians believe the plague originated somewhere in Central or East Asia, before traveling with merchants, caravans, and trading ships. Fleas living on infected rats unknowingly became the disease's most dangerous passengers. Every caravan stop, every trading city, and every busy marketplace became another opportunity for the plague to spread. Within only a few years, the disease swept across Persia, the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe. Entire villages disappeared. Cities that had once thrived with merchants and travelers suddenly fell silent. Families vanished within days, while survivors struggled to understand an enemy they couldn't even see. By the time the pandemic ended, historians estimate that tens of millions of people had died, making it one of the deadliest disasters in human history. Trade slowed dramatically. Many famous Silk Road cities never fully recovered their former importance. Yet the plague wasn't the only reason the Silk Road declined. By the 15th century, powerful empires competed for control of key sections of the route. Wars, political instability, and heavy taxes made overland trade increasingly dangerous and expensive. Then, another revolution changed everything. European explorers discovered faster and more efficient sea routes connecting Europe directly with Asia. Instead of risking months crossing deserts and mountains, merchants could now transport far larger quantities of goods by ship. Sea trade gradually replaced the ancient caravan routes that had dominated international commerce for centuries. One by one, The great caravan cities lost their influence. The endless lines of camels became smaller. Markets that had once echoed with dozens of languages slowly grew quiet. The world's greatest overland trade network faded into history. But its story didn't end there. The Silk Road permanently changed the course of civilization. Paper traveled west and transformed education. Gunpowder reshaped warfare forever. The compass helped sailors explore oceans that had once seemed impossible to cross. Religions such as Buddhism and Islam reached millions of new followers through these same routes. Art, architecture, science, medicine, music, languages, and culture blended together in ways no empire could have achieved through conquest alone. The Silk Road proved that trade could influence history just as powerfully as war. Its greatest achievement wasn't the wealth it created. It was the connections it built between people who had never met before. Even today, more than 500 years after the ancient trade routes declined, governments continue investing in new transportation corridors, inspired by the same idea that changed the ancient world, connecting civilizations through commerce. The original Silk Road may have disappeared, but its legacy continues to shape the modern world every single day. If you enjoyed this journey through history, subscribe for more documentaries exploring the events, empires, and forgotten stories that changed our world forever.